Let's watch some crime. Zubumafu, thank you for the tier. What's up? We're gonna be watching Dalia Dippolito today. GIF here, thank you for the tier 1. We have alerts off so we can fully immerse ourselves in the situation at hand. Yeah, I didn't mean to go on such a tangent, but I hope that helps some of you. Really, I don't know what else to say. Went on a lot longer than I expected to, but I hope it was helpful. And now I will use what I spent 4 years studying to watch a criminal be interrogated, and basically waste my degree that I spent way too much money getting, to get enough of a social media presence to loosely use it and make my parents super proud. So this is the official trigger warning of the stream. We are watching a criminal case. This is stuff that pertains to murder. Apparently this has to do with a toxic relationship and gaslighting. There's usually cases of abuse and guns and violence and general psychopathy from the suspect. So if these sorts of things bother you, this is not the stream for you. You might be better off coming back in about an hour or so when we're doing something else. It's completely okay if you don't want to be here. I understand. It's no, like I've already told you plenty. I'd rather you do something useful for yourself. But if you're bored, we help with bored here, because social media. We're watching Dalia Dippolito. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it's about, but it's a JCS true crime thing, so we're gonna do it. So for the people that aren't here usually or are mobile viewers, if an ad plays, don't worry. I will pause the video when an ad plays in order to have nobody miss out on stuff. It's just a way to compensate for my time and entertainment, just so I can keep doing what I'm doing. Sound good? Well, let's get going, yeah. It doesn't look like closed captions are available for this one, so I do apologize. But they do show when like important dialogue is showing, they do tend to show it.
On the 4th of October 2009, the sun began to set over the South Atlantic coast, and the wealthy city of Boynton Beach started to settle down for a Sunday evening. It was around that time when 38-year-old entrepreneur Michael,
I don't like that there's music,
decided it would be a good idea to hire an escort for the night. Just 35 minutes after calling the service, 26-year-old Dalia Mohammed showed up at his front door. Just 2 weeks after their first acquaintance, Michael filed for divorce from his wife of 7 years and proposed to Dalia with a $20,000 engagement ring. She said yes. It appeared as though the concept of love at first sight wasn't exclusive to fairy tales, and Michael had finally met his princess.
What the fuck? He did it 7 years ago? Wait.
Or so he thought.
If she died, you're gonna be mad. I don't think she's the one that's gonna die.
Hey, we're staying in Paris. All right, yeah. Okay. I'm trying to get some stuff out the way. All right, cool. I'm gonna tell you how I'm gonna do it and what exactly is gonna be done. All right. And if you got recommendations, you know what you want, what you know about him. Dude, is he your husband or something? Boyfriend? Your husband? How long y'all been married? No, for real, because the thing is, you know, after I talked to you today, you know, this phone, garbage, you won't be able to get a hold of it. You know what I'm saying? I just want to make sure that, you know, it's what you want. I'm sure you want to kill this dude.
Do we really have to?
All right.
You know, it's just, I'd rather be as less, you know, whatever with you.
All right. All right.
This would be the first of a total 15 times that Dalia would look directly into the hidden camera. With the naked eye, she would only see a small hole in the corner of the back seat. Not overly suspect, but certainly unusual, and the fact that she continuously glanced at it throughout this setup proved that she harbored suspicion. But although she had doubts, she appeared to have no hesitation in accepting the risk for the potential reward, which in this case would have been the brutal murder of her newlywed husband. In order to recite the entire sequence of events that led up to this moment, including each of the highly calculated and equally corrupt decisions that Dalia made, this would need to be a 3-part series, so for the purpose of time management, here's a quick rundown of the most notable moments. On February 2nd, 2009, Mike and Dalia made it official and got married. According to reports, Dalia appeared to be a very loving wife, always embracing her husband with public displays of affection and telling him how much she adored him, even to the point where people around them started to get uncomfortable. Just over a month into their marriage, in the early morning hours of March 12th, Michael's probation officer knocked at the door, with 2 deputies standing beside him. Michael had been convicted in 2001 for a fraud operation. He served 7 months in prison and was rendered 28 years of probation. This was the first time his PO had showed up unannounced, and Michael was informed that multiple calls had come in from an anonymous source, stating that he was selling steroids and ecstasy from the house. They presented him with a warrant and began to search the premises. If the allegation were proven to be true, Michael could have been sent back to prison for over 10 years. Luckily for him, no illegal substances were found. The next weekend, Dalia suggested a spur-of-the-moment romantic getaway in Palm Beach, and the couple stayed at a luxury hotel that Saturday night. But on the Sunday morning, police were waiting for them in the parking lot, stating they received an anonymous call that he was dealing drugs out of his car. They searched the vehicle, but once again found nothing. 2 weeks later, they went out to dinner, and on their way back to the car, police were waiting for them once more in the parking lot. Only this time they found a small bag of cocaine stashed inside a cigarette pack. Michael immediately broke down in tears, claiming that he had been set up and knew nothing about the drugs. Incredibly, the police believed him and decided not to make an arrest. They later testified that the first reason was due to the conspicuous and unusual hiding place for the cocaine. The second reason was their suspicions of his wife Dalia, who
package.
appeared emotionless as her husband was having a nervous breakdown. On the ride home, as Dalia was driving, Michael realized that she was the only one who knew where they were going for dinner, and was the only person who had access to the car. So he asked her point blank if she had anything to do with it, and the accusation wasn't taken well. She put the pedal to the floor and got up to 190 on the freeway, all the while screaming at the top of her lungs, claiming to be astonished that he could even accuse her of such a thing. Out of fear of his life, Michael apologized and said that he didn't mean it. The next morning, Dalia was aware that Michael's suspicions had arisen, and knew she had to divert his attention somehow. So just after making him breakfast, she gave him the incredibly exciting yet completely fictitious news that she was pregnant. Michael was ecstatic. They went out and bought baby books, and the dubious circumstances that occurred the night before appeared to have been forgotten. That very same day, Dalia contacted her ex-lover, Mike Stanley, a guy she had already used for money and dumped on 3 separate occasions beforehand, yet managed to reel him back in with a single text. After reuniting, Dalia hatched an extravagant plan. Mike would pose as a lawyer, contact Michael over the phone, and give him the misleading legal advice that in order for him to get off probation, he would need to move his house solely into his wife's name. Astonishingly enough, without doing his own research, Michael decided to take the advice from the mysterious caller at face value, and he and his supposedly pregnant wife then drove to the title company to transfer ownership. Mike Stanley was then cut off without any explanation or even a farewell, and Dalia then turned to another ex-lover, Mohammed Shihadeh, who she must have thought was a more appropriate option for her next scheme. To cut a long story short, she asked Mohammed to hire a hitman to kill her husband. He neither accepted nor rejected the proposal, but instead of driving to work after their meeting, he drove to the Boynton Police Department to inform them of Dalia's intentions. The police then inserted a hidden camera into the backseat of Mohammed's vehicle and had him arrange a second rendezvous with Dalia to get definitive proof of her intentions. They got it. She was recorded on film handing over a photo of Michael, a photo of the house, and a $3,000 down payment for the assassination. The authorities had more than enough evidence to arrest Dalia immediately, but to further capture her intent and to really make the charges stick, they set up a second meeting with a supposed hitman, who is actually an undercover narcotics officer. And that brings us back to the very first moment Dalia looked directly into the hidden camera.
Jesus.
I know, I got a picture. I looked at a picture of the house or whatever.
How soon can we get everything going?
Well, it's up to you.
I mean, I need it done like this week, but like my understanding of everything was that like, you know, I was gonna give you what I gave you, and then that was everything. Until after the fact, and then after the fact, I guess you were gonna come and like find me or whatever. I mean, I'm good for it. Like, it's not like I don't have it or anything. I mean, I know not to fuck around with you. You know certain things, whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you obviously know where I'm at.
The thing about self-destruction is that it happens all the time, and it's most often a very difficult thing to witness, as it can be the casual sequence of uncontrollable circumstances, such as adversity, tragedy, or misfortune. Yet when a person's self-destruction occurs solely due to their own greed and corruption, it becomes far less difficult and a lot more fascinating to behold.
I could get it done by Wednesday if you want me to. You understand? But I gotta do my homework, you know? I gotta, know exactly where the place is and how to get out of there, how to get in and out, you understand, what the neighbors want. I gotta call the cops, report a shooting to see how fast they get to that location. There's a lot of stuff I gotta do. That's gonna cost me a lot of money.
So if we go ahead and we do it, like, at the house, like, how soon could you do it? And
I could do it Wednesday morning. It's gonna be like I break into the house, didn't think he was gonna be home because everybody works in the daytime.
Right.
I'm gonna think he's at work. Boom, he's not at work, then, he gets two in the head. That's it, I take a couple things with me, break a couple windows, make it look like a robbery that went bad, and it's all over. I'm gone out of there. He's going to be asking you questions, although they know it's going to be obvious what it is, and they already know, but, they're going to ask questions, because that's how they got to do it. But I don't know how well you handle pressure. You understand? I don't know, because I don't want...
No, I'm not going to, I'm a lot tougher than what I look. I know you see me, and you're like, oh, what a cute little girl, whatever. But I'm not.
You're
what a fucking disgusting human being is what I was thinking, but whatever.
Between now and when it's done, you're not going to have an option to change your mind. Even if you change your mind, I'm talking to him.
There's no changing, there's no, like, I'm determined already. I'm positive, like, 5,000% sure, like, around
5,000?
7 o'clock. He always walks the dog in the morning.
Okay.
He walks the dog across, like, over where the lake is, and our door is always unlocked.
I'll be in the house by 6:30 Wednesday morning. 6 o'clock. All right.
Okay? Okay. All right. Thank you so much, and I guess...
You'll hear from me.
I'll hear from you.
All right.
All right. Thanks
Yeah,
a lot.
thank you so...
Dalia
yeah,
got
thanks
out
a
of the
lot.
car and drove away, believing her husband would be murdered just 2 days later. She followed orders and went to the gym at 5:43 a.m. on Wednesday morning. Police then knocked on the door and gave Michael the unfortunate news of his wife's intentions before driving him to the police station. Dalia was called back to the house by a sergeant 1 hour later. Everything about the crime scene was fake, except for the news camera which captured the entire incident.
Yo, next slide, please.
If you want to help your husband, you need to go to the station with these gentlemen and tell us everything you know about who he knows, who he's connected to. Don't worry, we've already taken care of dogs with animal control.
Camera's shooting it like it's Malcolm in the Middle right now. Fucking,
and we'll take care of everything
fucking
else,
cutscene
okay?
from the 90s.
Thank you,
Yeah,
guys.
my life's a little weird.
Since you're the wife. We got to advise you of your rights, so you know. Okay? If you don't understand any of them.
I love that we're watching this and the police already know everything. I love this. Because not only do we get the benefit of post-crime, the police already know. So it's like we're experiencing exactly what the police went through in this one. This is honestly great. I love this already.
You just tell me, and I'll stop and repeat. And first of all, let me just tell you, I'm sorry for your loss.
I just want to see my husband, please.
All right.
I love you. I really love you, too.
No, you don't want to see him.
I just want to see him.
Believe me, you don't. Could you listen, please? This is something, because we're going to videotape, that I need you to sign off.
I'm gonna love if they let him walk in at some point.
Videotape it. You want to read that?
I don't want to be videotaped.
Don't tell me.
You're being videotaped. That's all part of it.
Don't film me.
Whose number is that?
That's your home number.
Oh.
Okay. Listen,
Bro.
is there anybody that you know that you think would want to kill your husband?
My husband's on probation.
I'm just thinking about the girl that this dude left his 7-year marriage with. Yeah, we split up for a bit, and I found a girl and married her, and she tried to kill me, but, you know, mistakes were made, and we're back together. I hope that's not true. I hope that woman found somebody better for herself. Wow.
For what?
I'd be fuming.
Dahlia recounts Michael's entire criminal history in vivid detail, gives multiple reasons as to why someone would want him dead, and even names a potential suspect, who in reality had nothing to do with the situation, and was only a former business associate.
People weren't happy that he was getting off probation because it's a lot of money he's got to pay back.
Well, when you say people, who are you talking about? People that were involved with him before?
Other than she's
or-
immediately,
Everything
like,
was supposed to be
pushing
something
blame
he got off
instead of,
probation
like, grieving that her husband's
and
dead.
When he told, you know, friends of his, he told, you
He's,
know,
like,
different
immediately
people, and
trying to
everyone kind of talks, and he's constantly
point
running into
fingers.
A lot of the guys that he was on
Even if they
probation
didn't
with.
know,
Like,
this
a couple
would
days ago, we ran
make
into
me
someone,
suspicious.
and that was a target. I mean, you know, and the guy comes up to us, and he's like with organized crime. It seems like a lot of the guys from Boca are starting to move up here, and we're constantly running into, you know what I mean, a lot of the guys that he knows and things like that. So it was a lot of money. It was $191,000 that he had to pay back. So I know certain names.
Why didn't she
you know
ask
what I
for a
mean?
lawyer? Because for some reason, well, not for some reason. The reason is because lawyers have become demonized in America, and they're seen as an admission of guilt, which is not true, because the police can't detain you for invoking your civil right to a lawyer. You as an American citizen, if you were picked up by the police and questioned, you have the right to request counsel. That is the legal term for it. You can request counsel. If you don't have a lawyer on hand, they will give you a public defender. But for some reason, this is not a thing people are told they can do, nor is it encouraged, because all the police want you to do is to fucking blab and use as much as you say as evidence. I will say this every single time we watch one of these and there's not a legal representative in the police interview room, which is probably every single time, because there would be no case without it. We saw Casey Anthony's, and Casey Anthony stalled until her legal representation showed up, and then there was no interview because most likely her defense lawyer said, "Fuck that shit, we're getting you out of here," and he did. And her defense lawyer was incredible. I mean, I hate her. She's a garbage human being, but that defense lawyer was an absolute fucking crazy bastard during that case, and for good reason. I mean, he knew his job. All defense lawyers have to do is make it seem even slightly possible that the person being accused didn't 100% do the crime. So the police want to keep them away so they can put as much evidence against them as possible, which is used a lot of stuff from interviews like this. And yeah, that's why they mention it, because they have to within the Miranda rights, but people don't listen anyway. So what if the defense lawyer doesn't want to defend? Defense lawyers can say that they don't want to represent somebody, but usually they have to have some sort of reason. When you sign up to be a public defender / prosecutor, you do kind of say that you're committed to helping whoever you're given. But if there's some reason, like the client is uncooperative or whatever, you can. But usually if you're a public defender, you get some interesting people anyway. So it's kind of what seems like part of the job description. Somebody asked if cops can lie. This entire interview is a lie. It's seen as deception. Cops can stretch the truth within their confines of the interview room and stuff in order to get information. It's seen as justifiable in the way they can look for info by leading a suspect on. And the justification is they're telling the person one thing in order to get them to give away information regarding the case, and it's seen as justifiable because they're able to get the truth. It's sprinkling in lies in order to get down to what really is important, which is what happened. You know what I mean? Oof, thank you for the 10 gifted. That's very nice of you. They can straight up lie. I mean, literally, you just saw that they set up a fake police scene. You know, the hitman was an undercover cop. She went to the gym that morning. The cop showed up, told her husband. They set up a fake crime scene, and then even stayed there. She showed up and they told her, and she freaked out. The news caught her doing it, even though the news didn't know it was fake. And they're interviewing her as if the whole thing is real, because they're going to trick her into extreme commitment of her lie, which they already are fully aware of, by telling her more lies to validate it in order to catch her even more into her hole. So when the time comes and they can go to court with this, which she's already gonna not be able to leave the fucking police station, and they could definitely take her to court as is, they have even more to bury her with, because the idea is you can catch somebody committing something, but if you have more, the emphasis of having more to even nail them further into the ground with is that much better. It makes it that much better for them, or for the prosecution or whatever, you know what I mean? No, you don't. As a lawyer, you don't have to defend anybody you're giving. So there's a difference between a public defender and a defender for, you know, like, I don't know what the term is for a private lawyer. So there are public lawyers and there are private lawyers. So private lawyers work at a law firm. They are hired by specific people to help them, or they're on their fucking legal team or whatever. I forget the term for it. But you can be a public lawyer as well, which means you work for the state that you represent, and the state gives you cases, or the city or whatever. So not every lawyer is a public lawyer. So there are private lawyers, and that's where you see like the guys and the team and coach show up and they're like, this is our representative, like we represent this company, whatever. That's a private law firm. But a public defender works for the city or state, and they get cases given to them by the city or state by people who don't have private lawyers to hire, is essentially how it works. What if the defense knows that the person they're defending commits the crime? Usually they'll let them know. I mean, not usually, but you know, that could be useful for them. Anything they can't lie to you about? One of the things is they can't lie about what happens to them. So they can't like give them a solid fact on what will happen. Like they can't be like, if you admit to it, you'll get 5 years. They can say that if you cooperate, like we'll tell the judge, we'll tell the probation officer or whatever, and they'll be nicer maybe. Usually they're not, but they can't definitively tell you the future basically, because one, it's not for them to say. Two, if they do, that's coercion. So one thing cops can't do is basically mentally or emotionally bully a person into admitting things by saying things like, if you do this, this will happen. You know, like if you admit to it, we'll give you 3 years max in jail. You know what I mean? Like they can't say things like that most of the time. They can't fake promises. They can't like trick you into saying something with a certain outcome at being promised. So like the way they go about lying, it's more of like the person themselves is convincing themselves that that is the facts, rather than the police are saying that out loud and they're taking it that way. So they do it to where the suspect is believing what is presented to them without further clarification. How are plea deals done? So plea deals, wow, we're going way off topic, but plea deals are basically how 70 to 80% of court cases end up going in America, because what plea deals do is basically, if somebody is caught doing a crime, to save time in court, because trials take forever and there's constant trials and there's an overflow of court cases at every time, what will happen is the prosecution will be like, listen, we have you against the wall. We know you did this crime. We have all this evidence. The jury's not going to believe you. So if you take our plea deal of guilty, if you plead guilty, not only will it save your defense time, it'll save you time, it'll save us time. If you plead guilty, you will go to jail for 4 years instead of potentially 10. Because you can plead not guilty and go for the court case and then maybe get off free and get sent home. But if the evidence we have is good enough, which we think it is, you'll go there for an entire decade regardless, because we got you, is pretty much how it goes. So they will offer a lighter sentence for the admission of guilt in order to save them time, save courts time, and get a guilty verdict. Because the prosecution their goal is to get people, is to have people be guilty. That's not coercion. Because that is a lawyer, that is a legal representative with a plea deal cooperated by the judge and them. So that's not a cop saying that you'll get 3 years in jail if you admit to it. That is a legal representative with a judge giving you a definitive thing if you plead guilty, and you basically extremely shorten up the court case time, is pretty much how it goes. So you can risk the court case, get sent to 10 years, or get sent home, or you can plead guilty and go a max 3 years, and you could even get out with good behavior, is pretty much how it goes. So they use plea deals as a way to put suspects and defendants in corners and try to get them to plead guilty, because the prosecution wants guilty verdicts. And the amount of court cases that are always present in America, plea deals are very effective in getting people to admit to crimes, even if they didn't admit them, to the point where people will plead guilty because they don't think there's a chance, despite them being innocent. Which is why I'm telling you to literally fucking get a lawyer. The second the police are questioning you, it doesn't matter if you are guilty or innocent. Get the fucking lawyer. They know what they're talking about. An ad is played. But attempted murderers get a plea deal. Yes, everybody gets a plea deal. Everybody can get a plea deal. I guarantee you almost every single one has had a plea deal, because that's how America's law system works. They go, we have you. This is our evidence. You know the evidence because your defense lawyer gets it because of the preliminary trial. The evidence was brought to you by the judge who approved it, so you get it as much as we get it. So you have enough time to look at it as much as we do. Your defense lawyer is going to tell you to take it because the evidence presented basically puts you at the crime when it happened, is basically how it's said. So the person has to decide whether it's worth going through the trial and taking a longer time to get put in jail and potentially getting a longer sentence, or just taking the plea deal, going for less time and being seen as guilty, is basically how it's seen. Does that make sense? So it's a weird thing, but it's a effective tool because the amount of cases, the amount of court cases that need to be done every day is not even close to efficient. Defense lawyers are constantly buried in court cases because there's a lot of cases. So plea deals are a very effective way for prosecution and defense to get through their the amount of cases they have to do. So, you know, while it's fucked up that they're able to put people in corners and make them commit to a certain thing like that, at the same time, they have to get through each case and give it enough respectful time as possible because it's in the Constitution to have a fair trial and effective representation. Yeah. How much of your sentence can be shortened by good behavior? It's tough to say. It's very it's dependent. It's not only dependent on the crime, it depends on the person, their attitude, their cooperation, what they do during jail, etc. So in one way, is it, in a way, is it, there's, hey. In a way, you know, somebody could do something that gets them put in jail for 5 years. Say you committed manslaughter. You got second-degree manslaughter, which is probably 5 to 7 years in jail, depending on the state, right? But you're offered parole. So so parole is offered. It's basically, it's good behavior. It's what you're describing as good behavior. Going on parole means you can be released from jail on good behavior. Every criminal after they exit jail is put on parole, most likely, unless it's a very marginal crime or they really don't think the person's going to do it. But most people go on parole. They have a parole officer who checks up on them, makes sure they're keeping clean, you know, staying reformed, whatever, right? The idea of being released from jail on good behavior and putting on parole is with the with the idea that you are going to stay on a straight path and stay away from, you know, criminal behavior, right? And breaking your parole parameters can put you back into jail for even longer, which is why what happened earlier was her husband was in jail, was out of jail, and then had police officers show up, and because he was on parole, if he got caught, he would be thrown in jail for a lot longer. They said he was in jail for like 5 years, and if he got put back in jail because he broke his parole, he would have been put in for 10. Because breaking your parole is pretty much ruining a promise of saying that you will do your best to stay out of trouble, with the trade-off that you get released from jail earlier. What is probation? It depends. So it depends on the crime and what's committed and the person. Probation is getting, when you're taken out of jail, you'll be put on probation, which means basically you, depending on who it is, you can't leave the house, you can't do certain things, you can't be within a radius of specific areas, like if you have like you know, whatever you have going on. It's dependent on the situation. If you're very curious about these sorts of things, Google is always an option. I do know a lot of what you're asking, but we also have to watch the video. Can you apply for a job when on parole? I mean, you probably can, but employment for criminals or for former criminals is always very hard because there's a lot of skepticism within companies to hire people who have had a previous crime. Not everybody who commits a crime goes back to committing crimes once they're released. Sometimes it's just a mistake that's made, but there is a stereotype around people who were in jail. But I mean, you probably can, but the likelihood is probably small. We're going to go back to the video. If you have other questions, I encourage you to Google, etc. No, parole officers don't give you a job. No. They give you things to work on. They encourage you to look for a job, but they can't guarantee you a job. Anyway, video time.
Certain families, they were on the news, like the guys that all just went away.
Mm-hmm. What nationality are you? Spanish?
My mom's from Peru and my dad's from Egypt.
Wow.
Yeah. I want to tell you everything, the whole, so that
Please
you guys
do.
kind of know
Yeah,
what's going on.
I do.
Okay.
I want to know.
So that's what happened with that. So he didn't know how to tell everybody what was going on with everything.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if you know, he was shot. He was shot twice. And I want you to know all this.
Do you know this?
Did they tell you out there?
Not exactly. I mean, they told me he was shot. When I was at the gym, I got a phone call. I didn't hear my phone ring, and I called back, and they told me just to please come. That something happened.
I don't have. There's no captions for this video. I'm sorry,
Evidently,
Chet.
your husband answered the door, and they took him back upstairs. And in your bedroom.
We have cameras, though. Why would he answer
I'll put the
door?
video up. I'll increase the volume on the video as well. It'll be a little louder. Sorry.
I mean, the only person, like his probation officer, is like the only, you know what
I
I mean?
have no idea.
He would not answer the door. We had cameras, like at our house.
Maybe he knows this person. I didn't know you had cameras
we have-
because when we got there, some of your neighbors heard the commotion.
We have cameras. The front door has camera,
Oh,
and
that's
the back
great.
door has camera,
Then-
but they don't record.
And they don't record.
Nobody knows, but they don't. We told everybody they record, but they don't record.
Oh.
I have to pee. Be right back.
He didn't want them to make a hole in the garage.
Right now, I'm going to go out and get in touch with the officers at the scene. I want to see if the house was burglarized.
Okay.
All right, just hang on for a second.
Thank you.
The lead investigator returns 16 minutes later.
Now, you know that I've advised you of your rights, right?
Yes, you have.
Okay. The game's over with. Okay? There's no more games with you and I. Now we're going to get down to serious business. I want to know if you know this guy. Come here. Bring this guy in here. Get over here. Get over here.
They bring in the undercover cop who remains in character, acting like he's been caught, but refuses to allege Dahlia's involvement. She happily plays along.
You know who this guy is?
No,
You've never seen him before?
I've never seen him before, ever.
Do you know her?
Put your head up and look at her.
Put your head up.
I've never seen him.
What were you doing coming out of her house? Get him out of here.
Dalia was able to use her looks to get what she wanted out of life, which of itself isn't necessarily a bad thing. People do what they can to get by, which sometimes means relying on physical appearance, and in some cases they have no other option. Yet the majority of those who navigate life in this manner do so without intentionally hurting anyone. Dalia went out of her way to not only hurt, but to literally slaughter the person whom she had tricked into falling in love with her, and for no other reason than monetary gain. She hadn't come from a broken home, nor was she a battered wife. There were no mitigating circumstances whatsoever, only the cold-blooded pursuit to get what she wanted, how she wanted, impartial to the suffering she would cause as a result. In the next moments, her karmic debt will have finally caught up, and for perhaps the first time in her adult life, neither sex appeal nor her fabricated charm will be enough to save her from the consequences of her actions.
You're going to jail today for solicitation of murder. You're under arrest. That's an undercover police officer. We filmed everything that you did, recorded everything that you did. You're going to jail for solicitation of first-degree murder of your husband.
I didn't do anything.
Did you hear what I just told you?
I heard what you said, but I didn't do
Everything,
anything.
listen to me. Everything has been recorded. You were photographed in the convertible when you sat in his car in the front of CVS. What do you want to do? What do you want to do here,
I didn't
Dalia?
do anything.
Listen to me.
I didn't do anything.
You're going to
I
jail.
didn't do anything, please. I didn't do anything.
Tell me you didn't do anything.
I didn't do anything.
You're going to jail today. As soon as I'm done, they're going to come in here and handcuff you and take you to the Palm Beach County Jail, book you for solicitation of first-degree murder on your husband. Your husband is well and alive. You think I made that up? It's exactly what's going to happen. I'm talking with you. When I leave this room, no other officer will ever talk to you again. The next time we see you is when you're in trial. Now, you can make it right here, or you're going to trial, and you're going to do life in prison. You want to cooperate with us, whatever you want to do. It's over and done once I walk out. I'm not coming back in to talk to you.
Holy shit.
And no one else is either. What do you want to do?
I left at a bad
Before I
time,
leave here.
dude.
Because the next officer comes here, going to handcuff you and take you to the jail.
I'm not missing it. I heard all of it.
No, he doesn't want to see you. You don't want to see you.
You want to know something really funny? I'm sitting upstairs. I filled up my water and made myself some coffee. Yeah. Somebody just said it. Somebody just said it. I'm sitting here like upstairs listening. I have a wireless headset, guys. I heard all of it. I heard all of it. I'm sitting there. I'm not watching the video. I'm not looking at chat. All I'm doing is hearing the voices. This dude sounds like fucking Dr. Phil. He's like, you're going to jail. You're going to jail, Dalia. I'm going to throw rocks in your window. I'm sitting here like, why is Dr. Phil fucking going after this woman? Just listen to him. Just, we're going to go back a little bit. Just listen to him.
He doesn't want to see you. You better quit your playing. Listen to me. I want you to quit your acting and get this over with.
He sounds just
Yes,
like
you
him.
are. Okay. You know what? You need a real good attorney. You need a real good attorney because we're going to show him the film where you say you're 5,000% sure you want him dead. You think I made that up? You think I made that up?
Sounds just like him, dude.
It's exactly what's going to happen. I'm talking with you. When I leave this room, no other officer will ever talk to you again. The next time we see you is when you're in trial. Now, you can make it right here, or you're going to trial, and you're going to do life in prison. You want to cooperate with us, whatever you want to do.
It's possible.
It's over and done once I walk out. I'm not coming back in to talk to you.
First degree.
And no one else is either.
And that's
what do you want to do?
That's life.
Before I leave here, because the next officer comes here, going to handcuff you and take you to the jail.
So they can't. Okay. So they can't lie about what happens if they cooperate. They can tell them what's going to happen because they're guilty as shit, though. So I figured somebody might be like, but he just said what's going to happen or whatever. They can't tell her that she'll be like free to go if she cooperates, pretty much. But they can say that, I mean, max sentence for conspiracy first degree is life. It's very unlikely, but it's possible.
No, he doesn't want to see you. You don't want to see you. I'm leaving now. Can I have an officer come in here and cuff the person?
I don't know what's going on, please.
We'll go ahead and arrest her for solicitation first degree murder.
What's happening, please?
Let's go stand up.
Stand up, please.
All I did was ask my husband to die. All I did was
Dalia is then granted her fraudulent wish and comes face to face with her husband.
Oh my God.
He's alive.
Come here, please. Come here.
my
Mike,
god.
come here. Come here, please. Come here.
Can't fix it.
Why not? I didn't do anything
I
to
heard you.
Mike, come here, please. Come here.
Okay, thank you. We'll take her back to booking, please. Come on.
Yeah, get her ass, Dr. Phil.
Dahlia was given roughly 15 minutes in her cell to calm down and have reality sink in. She was then brought back to the interrogation room, where two less confrontational detectives would pursue a confession. They were hoping the immediate switch from hostility to patience would influence her compliance.
Probably not.
Have you been advised of your rights before? So yes. Your Miranda rights?
No, but I wanted to make a phone call.
Okay. Earlier this morning, Sergeant Sheridan read you your rights from that card, right? And you understood your Miranda rights, your Fifth Amendment rights?
Yeah, but I wanted to make a phone call.
Okay, so the phone call, we will let you do that later. Not right now, though.
But while I'm still here,
Yeah, later on we will. Okay?
Did you
They don't say
understand
when you
your
get your
rights,
phone call. You can get
didn't
one.
understand
They
it?
just don't say when they have to give it to you.
I'm really paying attention when you
Okay.
said yes to everything.
Okay, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and read them again, okay?
No! Wrong. Wrong. She's a criminal and a fucking idiot. Who would have guessed?
Okay,
You said yes to everything.
okay, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and read them again, okay? And if you have any questions, just go ahead and ask me and I'll explain it to you, okay?
Okay, you understand your Fifth Amendment rights now? All of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I go to the regular restroom, please, before we start? Is that okay?
Nope.
Is it emergency?
I didn't feel comfortable going in the other one. I'm sorry. I
No
won't be
problem,
long.
no problem.
You mind if I call you Dalia?
Yeah, please.
Too nice of them.
All right.
Piss your
Do you
pants.
understand what happened today? What's going on here?
A little.
Okay.
Now, slowly, I'm...
I didn't do anything,
What's your understanding?
I was told one thing, and now it's like slowly, like all these things are... I don't really know what
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah, they tricked you.
Do you know that you
Fucking
are
idiot.
arrested today? You're being arrested.
That part I understood.
Okay. Do you know what for?
Not really,
You don't
no.
know the charge?
No, nobody...
Yeah, I can't imagine what
Okay, go
for.
ahead and tell her the charge out.
Okay. You're being arrested for soliciting to commit murder. Okay, which that means is you attempted to hire someone to kill somebody else. meaning
I
your
would
husband.
rip her
Okay?
on the 5,000% thing
And
so
that's
many
why
times.
you're here, and that's what you're getting charged with.
You're 5,000% arrested for conspiracy to commit murder.
No, you don't understand, or
No, I never did that.
Okay, but that's what you're being charged with,
Okay.
and we have plenty of evidence to back it up.
About 5,000%
Okay?
amount of
So,
evidence.
with your rights in mind, we want to give you an opportunity to do some soul searching maybe, and maybe get a lot off your chest and tell us the truth. That's what we want to hear.
5,000% sure
The
you need the
evidence against her
toilet.
was overwhelming, hence the lack of interrogation techniques being initiated. The detectives feel that this is an open and shut case, and whether the suspect chooses to confess at this moment or not, they believe the eventual
Pretty
outcome will
irrelevant.
be the same.
I mean, this has been worked
Unless something fucking
for a couple of days
wild
now.
happens,
It's
but
not
pretty
just
much.
the first day we're doing this, reference to this case,
Conspiracy to
And we have a
commit
lot of
murder is
information
5,000% funnier
to support
when you're caught doing
our
it.
charge. It's just not a quick
Getting
little
caught
thing.
conspiring to murder is 5,000%
We're
funnier.
gonna know when you're lying to us and all that. We just want to hear the truth. I mean, it's done. It's over with now. You know, and this is your opportunity to tell us the truth. That's all we want to hear, and we know the truth. So I know it's hard to commit to that, but Now's your time, you know? Do you have anything to say about this?
I'm going to talk to my husband.
Okay, well, you can't talk to your husband. He's not here right now. Let him go home. He's taking care of the house and the dogs, so...
He went home to reevaluate his life.
And nobody got killed. The tragedy was prevented today. You could look at it that way, you know? That's simple.
A big tragedy. I mean, someone's life, so... Everything's on tape, Dalia. There's no denying it. You know? Everything's on tape.
No, people were saying this guy sounds like Scott. I'm like,
you gotta understand this, okay?
Scott isn't an American.
Second, okay?
He didn't do anything.
Listen to me for a second.
Doesn't sound like Scott.
This is on our first day.
Not even British?
Okay?
What?
Definitely not our
Scott's
second
not
day.
even British. What are you talking about?
This is an ongoing investigation, all right? Not only do we have your videotape, we have every conversation that you've had leading to this point, all right? So for you to sit here and deny that you haven't done anything, it's
He's
not gonna help.
Scottish. What
Every
the
little
hell?
thing that you've done since this started,
Hi, Zen.
we've been
I'm
involved
doing good,
in.
man. I hope you're doing okay.
Do you understand that? I mean, I'm just telling you the truth. That's the truth.
Just
All
want to
right?
go home.
Well,
You ain't going
unfortunately, you're
home.
not going home.
Nope.
Okay? You're looking at some serious charges.
Potentially
here.
never again. At least not to that house.
Do you understand that you made the attempt to hire somebody to kill your husband? That's how serious this is. Okay? You can sit here and shake your head and deny it, but I'm going to tell you right now, all right, when the jury and the judge sees that videotape of you having this conversation, making a deal, all right? That's how far you went, all right? It wasn't me, I didn't do anything, because the video, the audio, it's not going to lie, all right? And all the evidence that we have collected throughout this investigation.
You sound like a fool right now denying this, because, like my partner just said, everything's on tape. Video and audio.
I just want to go home.
I know, but you're not going home, you see? You're being arrested, so you're not going home.
But what do I have to do to go home? I would like to go home.
I know, but you can't. It's impossible. You're going to the Palm Beach County Jail after this. You can't go home. You're being arrested. This is a game. In your mind, it might be a little game, but this is very, very serious. Murder? Are you kidding me?
Dahlia refuses to give any sort of acknowledgement whatsoever, even after being confronted with the hidden camera footage.
True.
She was then taken to the Palm Beach.
In her situation, smart. Because even though she's caught doing all of it, there's still a chance if she doesn't admit to it that they could get away with it somehow.
Detention Center, professing her innocence the entire way.
but-
When she finally got to jail, she accepted the offer to make a phone call. Now, try and imagine yourself in her position. Now think of the absolute last person on planet Earth that you would call at that moment.
Hello?
Hey, it's me.
Yeah, what's up?
Nothing, Mike. Can you please come here?
Hey, listen, I don't want to fight with you. Honestly, I can't help you. Hey, don't you understand what just happened?
What they're saying is not true.
How is that possible?
Like, I'm sitting here. It's not true. It's not possible. You wouldn't even give me 2 minutes to talk to you, but it's not possible. What they're saying is not true.
How in the hell did I hear it and see it?
Like, I heard what you heard. It's not true. I heard what you heard, and I saw what you saw. Everything they showed you, they showed me.
And how is it not? How are you telling me that?
I
It's
am
not
giving
true.
you my word that it's not true.
What Dahlia is doing here is known as gaslighting, a textbook form of manipulation used by psychopaths, sociopaths, and all those with narcissistic personality
And girl bosses.
disorder. She is trying to cultivate doubt into Michael's mind by making him question his own perceptions. She does this by using persistent denial and misdirection to try and destabilize his thought process. Yet the hole that Dahlia had dug for herself on this occasion seems a little bit too deep for her device to have any sort of effect.
What do you? Dad, I couldn't help you if I wanted to.
Like, please, I need an attorney. Can you please help me? It's not true.
Your brother was here, and I spoke to him. And he's going to go talk to your mom. I called them for you already, right?
This is not true.
I heard Dalia too. Look, how do you explain what I saw and heard?
Like, I am limited on my phone call. You know more than anybody. It's not true. Just give me time so I can talk to you.
What did it say? I saw it. I heard it.
I saw what you saw and I heard what you heard.
Okay, what the f***? You said you wanted to have me killed. I heard that. What's
not
the problem?
True. That is not
How is
true.
it not true?
How can you
What
believe
is your
that?
problem?
I heard your voice.
How can you believe it?
That isn't the point. I heard.
I cannot believe. I cannot believe she fucking called this dude. That's unbelievable. This is unreal. I cannot believe it.
I heard your voice.
How can you believe it?
That isn't the point. I heard you say it.
It's not. I heard what you heard and it's not.
What did I hear then? I heard you say.
I heard the tape. Okay, I heard the tape and I saw pictures and I saw the whole 9 yards. I saw all of it.
So why would you meet a guy in a parking lot? Explain that.
I'm sitting here on the phone. I will tell you when I see you in person. Please.
I can't come there anyway. I'm not allowed there.
That's not true. Who said that? They tell you that on purpose. That's not true.
I don't know what you could tell me. Even if, let's pretend, I said, oh, it's all better. I can't, they're charging your ass. Don't you get it?
Like, I didn't do anything. Please.
I don't know what to say to you. I can't help you.
What do you mean
It's out of my hands.
You're not even trying.
What am I supposed to do?
You're supposed to get me an attorney, please, so I can talk to you.
I saw you with this guy in the truck or whatever the f*** it was. I saw it. I heard your voice clearly. What? I don't understand.
I did not say those things. Period.
So how did they get your voice on that tape recorder?
Like, I'm limited with my time, please.
You gotta be kidding me, man. Dalia, I heard you say that shit.
Like,
okay?
I'm telling you right now, okay?
You can't fix it.
Good for Mike.
How are you gonna tell me that you didn't say it, you didn't do it? When I saw you say it and I saw you do it.
Do you have any idea how I was when they told me what supposedly happened to you, how I got and how I was and how everything? Can you meet me in person so I can talk to you?
No.
Why?
Why the f*** should I?
Because you know me. I never, ever, 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 ever in my wildest dreams ever want that for you, ever.
Well, you said it, Dalia. You hired a guy.
No, I did not say anything. Period. I didn't say anything.
Period.
I don't know how you're going to actually have the nerve to sit here and lie to me now. I can't help you even if I wanted to. Do you get it?
Why don't you want to?
It's out of my f***ing hands.
You're not even trying. It's different if you're trying. You're not even trying.
What could I possibly do for you? I don't get it. What could I do?
You're not even trying.
Not even trying.
What? I'm sitting here like a dumbass.
Okay, they're getting ready to
Like a dumbass.
Dalia, I'm gonna give you some advice, and you need to listen. You're gonna be running around in there for a little while, a couple days. You need to just try and relax and just go with it, and keep to yourself, and don't say a lot.
Like, I love you. Don't do this to me. I'm sitting here. Everybody treated me awful, sir. I didn't do anything to you.
Yeah, that's why you tried to hire somebody else.
Everyone did things awful to me.
I can't help you. There's nothing I can do to help you. Know what I'll do? You know what I'll do for you? Seriously?
What?
You sign my house back over to me. I'll help you, Mom, immensely. Give me my house back. That's it.
That's it, what?
I'll have the papers sent over to you somehow. You'll sign them over to me, and then I will help your mother. Okay?
I'm not signing anything.
I know you wouldn't sign anything. I knew that wasn't going to happen, so I can't help you. Okay?
That's what you're thinking about. I'm sitting here rotting and you're thinking about
Now you tried having me killed. I just offered to help you, and again, you had the balls to say
Wow.
no. You just basically said f*** you
That
to me,
was
which is
sick.
hilarious considering
What a
your
quip.
situation and considering what the f*** just happened today. All right?
the gun getting fingerprinted now.
Dalia called her mother soon after, who was already informed of the situation by Michael and appeared to be a little bit more understanding over the whole situation.
Hello? Mom, I'm in jail.
I know, Dalia. I know. I find out.
I need you to call Mike in New York.
Okay, who do you want me to call?
I need you to call Mike in New York, please.
I called already and I called that. Everybody knows. What is it you want me to do? Where are you exactly?
I'm in the county jail. I need you to call. What did Mike say? Is he coming?
Everybody's coming, Dalia. We're going to go ahead and get your lawyers, okay? Don't worry. Where are you? Are you in Gun Club?
Yes, I'm here, Mom. Mike said this to me.
Okay, Dalia.
I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything.
You didn't. I know you didn't. I know you didn't. Where are you? You in Gun Club?
Yes, I'm here in Gun Club. And I heard Mike is at the house. I want him out of my house.
Okay, well, right now we're going to need to have a lawyer first,
It's my house. The title's in my name.
All right, okay, don't worry about that.
Dalia spent 20 months in jail before standing trial in April 2011. Her defense was bizarre. They claimed Michael Dippolito was a fan of reality TV, and the murder-for-hire plot was a hoax, just so he could get on television.
I'm just having fun with it. Come on, I'm with you.
You having fun with me? Let me ask you something. Is this fun, Mr. Dippolito?
This sucks.
Okay. Was it fun when you got arrested?
No.
Was it fun when you went to record?
Horrible.
Okay. So, is there anything funny about this proceeding at all, Mr. Dippolito?
The questions you're asking me, some of them, yeah.
You don't like them, do you?
It's ridiculous. We're not here because of me. Well, I might as well, you might as well put me up next. I mean, what are we doing here?
The verdict came a month later on May 13th. The jury needed just 3 hours of deliberation.
Verdict: we, the jury, find as follows. As to count 1, we find the defendant guilty of solicitation to commit first-degree murder. If you find the defendant guilty, do you find that there is a firearm included in the solicitation? Yes.
And you and I have spoken previously about you wanting to share some comments with the court as the judge considers the appropriate sentence in this case?
Yes, I do. I have no words to explain why this unfortunate event happened. And I am sorry that it did. I don't support what it happened. But I know that you have the power in deciding what happens to the next phase of Dahlia's life, in showing mercy. In life, we make mistakes. Sometimes we will deserve a second chance.
Yeah.
Dahlia's not dangerous.
Pretty large mistake. I mean, you know, I'm normal like the rest of you. I hired somebody to commit murder once. I mean, we've all done it. Fucking no.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Where do I begin? Let me just start off by saying, you know, when I married my wife, I was very much in love with her. And I thought we were doing things that normal married people do. And I was a very good husband. And I provided everything we needed. And, you know, that being said, lo and behold, you know, that wasn't the case. I don't know who these people are talking about, but it's not that girl. You know, and I feel bad. I don't even want to be here. Since this started, I've always put my hand out. Give me my house, let's be done with it. I'll beg the judge to even do whatever. I don't personally gain anything from this. You know, the difference between me and I guess what's going on here, you know, I went to prison. You know how I got there? I said I did it. Yeah, I did it. Let's get this over with and handle it. You know, that hasn't happened here. I mean, this girl doesn't feel sorry for anything. She still doesn't think she did anything. And believe me, I don't want to get up here and be nasty, but the reality is I sit and listen to this. Even today, we're talking about a retrial? Retrial for what? I mean, what is it we're doing? Who didn't understand what happened here? They still don't want to admit anything happened. Nothing bad happened. It's all good. Let's just all go home and it's fine. I'm not okay. You know, my father died. I was supposed to have been able to travel to see him. I didn't get to see my dad. You know, my dad's dead. And, you know, that was part of my plan, to get off probation, go see my family, spend time with my father. If she would have owned it like a normal person and would have owned up to something, I would respect that. But instead, when I get to court, I hear that I want a reality television show. As soon as we walk out here, you know they're filing for an appeal. You know why? Because they think everybody in this room is stupid. That's why. Because we're all stupid, and they're smarter than us. And nobody did anything. And God, she's a great girl and whatever. You know, when I met her, I thought all those things. I don't want to offend anybody, and believe me, I feel sorry for everybody that's in here crying. But you know what? I got to feel sorry for myself. Nobody's helping me. My mother had a nervous breakdown. I'm like, I'm going to have a nervous breakdown. You know, I just don't know how I'm feeling some days. And it's just not fair. Like I said, and I mean this from my heart, I wish we weren't here. I wish she would have did anything but what she did.
The jury's found you guilty, Ms. Dippolito.
That's a real motherfucker right there. That's the realest fucking victim I've ever seen.
So my task is to figure out what an appropriate sentence would be, somewhere between 48 months and 30 years in the Department of Corrections.
30 years.
Rehabilitate you from what you have done. And I think that's a function of you know, spinning your moral compass. I think your moral compass is askew. I think that
I'm gonna guess
it's something that
18.
It's not like getting a drug addict off
24.
drugs or an alcoholic off alcohol, but rehabilitation, I hope that occurs as part of this sentence. A big variable, and the one that's most conspicuous, is punishment. You impose a sentence to punish bad behavior, criminal behavior, and that's going to be a large component of this sentence. And also a valid factor in imposing a sentence is retribution. And retribution is giving society the vent, the outlet, the sense of that person got what he or she had coming. So I consider those factors and try to figure out what weighs most in tailoring a sentence for you. And it has to do with the facts of the case, and it has to do with who you are and what you were thinking. And here's the way I see it. I think that a lot of it is what were your motivations? What were you doing? What were you thinking when that was going on?
Nothing, probably.
I just come to the most obvious conclusion that you were motivated by greed, by avarice. There's no evidence that you were being beaten and you were defending yourself, that you were a battered wife, that you were an alcoholic, that you were the victim of child abuse, that you were somehow acting in defense of yourself, even under a misguided notion. There's none of that here. All of your conduct was just for self-indulgence and just trying to take every bit of money that you could get a hold of so that you could go on and live this fast life. In as early as March, you began this relentless campaign to get rid of your husband. First, you're thinking, well, I'll just get him sent off to prison and that would be good enough. You used guile and sophistry to dupe others into your web of deception. You were the puppet master that was pulling all the strings. You weren't acting at the direction of somebody else. You weren't under the influence of somebody else. You were the one calling the shots. And you were engaged in a course of conduct not over some momentary lapse of good judgment. This wasn't like, I ran a red light, I shouldn't have done that. Or, oh, what was I thinking? I had the gun in my hand and I shot it because I was angry. It was weeks and months that you continued with these different schemes to try to rid yourself of your husband that was just something out of a novel. And it was horrible to watch it unfold as the trial testimony came out. It was pure evil. After those attempts to have your husband taken out of the picture by way of sending him back to prison for a long period of time, and when you learned that it wasn't good enough to have the house in your name, that if you wanted to sell the house, you were still going to need his signature, I think that's when it started to turn to even more sinister behavior. Mr. Salnick indicates that, being remorseful or saying I'm sorry really doesn't mean anything. And I disagree. I think, even today, Mr. Dippolito, still your husband, I think that I'm sorry, it's my fault, I did it, would have gone a long way. Not only for his healing, but it would have perhaps suited your own purpose. But I haven't heard anything. I haven't heard an ounce of remorse. The opposite of that. When confronted with the obvious facts, the most powerful testimony as to who you are is when you were in the police station and your husband walked by and looked in, and you were begging him, tell him this is all wrong, tell him this is all wrong, and then later on the telephone, you were saying, he was confronting you with the evidence. I saw the tapes. I saw the videotape of you trying to have me killed. And you just cold-bloodedly said to him, I saw what you saw, and I'm telling you that's not true. And it was astonishing, the cold-blooded denial that you're willing to go to try to avoid the obvious. You have a certain facet of who you are with your mom, your sister, your brother, and they see the good in you, as siblings and parents should. But who you are...
She's definitely not getting sentenced for less than 25 years, is my best guess. This is like worst case scenario. Worst case scenario, caught red-handed, didn't admit to it, like still won't admit to it, got guilty. All of it. Like worst case scenario here, like minimum 25 years is my best guess.
Your soul, and speaks volumes of the way you were presenting this, and it was quite chilling to witness that. Based upon those factors, then, Ms. Dippolito, I'll accept the verdict of the jury. I'll find you guilty. I'll adjudicate you guilty. And I'm sentencing you to 20 years in the Department of Corrections.
20.
Dahlia's first encounter with retribution was a big one, yet it didn't last long. The sentence was thrown out on a technicality 1 month later, and she was able to remain under house arrest for 6 years awaiting her next trial. Her second trial began in 2016.
Dalia Dippolito.
Huh?
Thrown out on first
verdict of the jury. I'll find you guilty. I'll adjudicate you guilty.
Pause.
And I'm sentencing you to 20 years in the Department of Corrections.
Dahlia's first encounter with retribution was a big one, yet it didn't last long. The sentence was thrown out on a technicality 1 month later, and she was able to remain under house arrest for 6 years awaiting her next trial. Her second trial began in 2016.
Dalia Dippolito takes the stand with an unusual defense.
Dalia says it was all part of a plan she hatched with her then-husband, Michael Dippolito, and former lover, Mohammed Shahadi, to get famous. Her now ex-husband, Mike Dippolito, says he couldn't wait to see what she'd say in court.
Let me know when she's going. I'll be sitting in the back with popcorn. I'd love to see this.
In an exclusive pretrial interview with 2020 this past December, Dippolito said she's just misunderstood.
Who is Dalia Dippolito?
Understanding, sweet, and compassionate.
Manipulative, conniving. I got more than 3. Malicious.
Baited, enticed, and entrapped.
Her attorney, Brian Claypool, says Dalia is the innocent victim of a fame-hungry police department.
What the police department did is they found out she's an attractive woman. In their minds, they're like ching, ching, ching. This is a perfect skit. There's no question about it that the Boynton Beach Police Department was dead set.
The case was open and shut.
Manufacturing a crime here.
How damaging are these tapes to your client?
They are damaging because people have formed opinions.
Our job in the second trial is to provide the proper context for the jury to see that this is not really what it looks like.
Claypool claims she only kept up the act because Mohammed threatened her with a gun.
He threatened to hurt me and to hurt my family.
Did you believe he would?
Absolutely, yes.
So she was threatened to act out a hoax on a videotape? I mean, do you understand how ridiculous that sounds to a lot of people watching this?
Yeah, that's not ridiculous. You've got a 6'2", 230-pound man with a gun.
Saying you will do this YouTube hoax or else?
Right.
5,000% sure, not 100% sure, not 1,000% sure, but 5,000% sure. How do you explain that?
I look at that video and I see somebody who's struggling with whether she's really sure.
She's struggling? What?
She said 5,000%
How is she
sure.
struggling if she's 5,000% sure?
Well, you might find that humorous, but when I hear people say they're sure, I'm 110% sure.
Why didn't she just tell police her version of what happened?
I've asked her that question too. Oh, yeah, everybody. Hey, Sergeant. This was just a YouTube thing we were putting together. She was in a state of shock.
She said it differently than what I would say, so obviously something was up.
I wanted to get out of there, and I felt just paralyzed. The tape was, it was a show, it was a tape. That was the purpose of it.
You were acting in those tapes?
Yes.
But you're telling the truth now?
Yes.
Why should we believe you?
Because it's what happened.
the truth.
State of Florida versus Dahlia Dippolito defendant. Verdict. We, the jury, find as follows. As to count 1, we find the defendant guilty of solicitation to commit first-degree murder as charged in the information. So say we all, the 16th day of June, 2017, in West Palm Beach.
Dalia Dippolito was sentenced to 16 years in prison on July 21, 2017. She was not given the possibility of parole, and her release date is set for August 24, 2032. Her appeal was rejected by the Florida Supreme Court in September of 2019, and her sentence is now definitive. She is currently being held at the Lowell Correctional Institution in Gainesville, Florida, where she is expected to remain until the day of release. She will be 50 years old.
Or she's gonna sit in jail till she's 50?
If you're crazy.
Dumbass. L. Get fucking shit on. That's awesome, dude. We love a case that ends well. We love a case where the victim is okay. I hope Mike's having a good life, man.